If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we are back. I'm Chris. I'm the CEO of Survival Dispatch at the top secret Sawyer training facility in Appalachia. Joining me tonight is
Mad Bomber Mike. What's up, my peeps?
John Wheaton, Righteous Savages, out here having a blast.
JJ Morris with Fuel the Fires.
Ty Mayer with Righteous Savages. And I am Jason Salyer with On3.
So I think we're just going to jump into, because we've been having a lot of fun today, and I kind of want to talk about what we did just a few minutes ago, because I'm still on a high. I still have the adrenaline going and everything. So I think we can just go ahead and show, like, we have some plates here. Guess what we were doing? We were testing out armor. And first of all, I want to say something, guys. Like, I got to say something to you guys, because this is my first time to be on with y'all. Mm-hmm. All right, now, I want to say something. I'm blessed to be here. I thank God that y'all keep up with everything that's going on in the world, because I don't. All right, at all. And it's nice to have a place with people that I can trust to get the information that I need to know while I'm out in the field.
Define trust.
So, yeah. So I don't know how y'all do it, for real. Like, I can't keep up with it. And most of, I just told myself before I even came onto the show that I was going to be the guy that would ask the dumb question.
How we do it is a lot of caffeine and hate.
Caffeine and hate. Okay, that's how you do it.
I like to throw in a little bit of spite as well.
Well, speaking of hate, because we were shooting 3.0 hate.
We definitely
today,
threw out some hate today.
Right. So this was our very first plate that we shot. This is a Paraclete plate, which is rated at level 3. And we shot it with a 22. Then we shot it with M855. Then we shot it with 3.0 hate. Then we shot it with 6.5 Creedmoor. And then the final shot was 338 Lapua.
Oddly enough, the 338 penetrated. Who knew that would happen?
Now, the second play, this was RTS tactical, 0 penetration. This is where it's at right here. So the very first shot was 308, and then we shot it with 6.5 Creedmoor, right? But then look at what Jason is holding. Dude, it took it, though.
It still took it.
Look at the inside of this.
what did it take?
The madness of it. This took the 338.
338 Lapua.
Just to be clear, you'd still be very dead.
You would be dead.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It would liquefy you on the inside.
Oh.
But, I mean, just look at this. That is amazing. So that's what we were doing this afternoon. What are we supposed to be talking about?
The plates. And how your lungs pop like a couple of pinatas.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to RTS.
Yeah,
It's
RTS.
amazing.
The test results, I mean, these are my next plates. This is what I'm putting in my armor next. I don't know about you guys, but I think everybody else agreed they would rather just get shot
Then take that
without the
338.
plates than have to take the brunt.
Go ahead and delete me.
Yeah. Now the others, the 308 and the 6.5,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
You might have a little bruise on your sternum, but
You're not going to be happy, and you're definitely not going to be, fully mission capable. But man, you're gonna live through it.
Man. Anyway, today was fun. Every now and then you got to have some fun.
That was good times. Right
But
there.
a level 4 ceramic plate taking a 338 Lapua Magnum, traveling at over 3,000 feet per second,
mind blowing.
that used to hold the world record not too long ago, 2 miles away for a kill with that very round. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Did you guys range find it, by the way, when we was out?
It's 50.
50 yards?
50.
Wow.
Didn't even have time to get up to speed.
Yeah.
And it still did it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's quite incredible to see this. I'm definitely going to look into getting some RTS plates myself.
Mm-hmm.
Results speak for themselves. You don't really know what something's going to do until you actually test it real world. We tested real world, and it just kind of laughed at us and said, "Yeah, keep on
Now,
going."
if we're going to actually perform a proper test, RTS needs to send us some more plates, and you need to allow me to shoot Claymore mines at these.
So I think 1, 2, 3, about 5 sets of plates.
Yeah,
Would be great.
5 will do.
Yeah.
So actually, shout out to Bill and Diana from RTS Tactical. They actually said, "Go ahead, shoot them. Let us know how they perform, and we'll send more plates."
That's about it.
That one we need to
Zero
send to them.
penetration right on it.
That needs to be on the wall.
Yeah.
So
But do we need to send these back to them?
no,
For
no.
testing?
Nope.
Okay.
No, but the reason we shot these, we're fixing to do a series of videos on home defense with suppressed firearms, and we'll have a roundtable conversation on that as well. But JJ, you asked what the main topic was. Actually, the reason I wanted you in on this, because it's in your wheelhouse.
Okay.
So our readiness for terrorist attacks at the state and federal level, obviously it's going to be different in 50 different states. I think we're pretty well prepared in Florida, at least as well prepared as you could be.
And you're talking at the federal level or state level?
State level,
At
yeah.
the state level?
And, you know, that could be kinetic terrorist attacks, bioweapons, chemicals. What else, Mike? Cyber attacks.
Cyber attacks. You could have kidnappings.
Kidnapping, right.
Yeah, all kinds.
Anything
of stuff.
that under the NRP that the government defines as an emergency.
Right. So I asked JJ and Jason to be part of this because JJ was a SAR tech for many years on a spec ops team. So he's highly qualified. He's been into some crazy situations, and he would know better than anybody as far as how well we're prepared to respond to these things. So I'm going to turn it back to you, JJ, to get started because you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly.
Now, that what I'm going to say comes from my perspective, having been
Sure.
on a professional team, right? And there's a lot of other people out there that may be watching that maybe they were on volunteer teams,
Okay.
or maybe they were on state, local teams.
Well, you've got these guys, right? Like
Right.
Jason, how much time did you spend in North Carolina volunteering after
A
Halloween?
lot.
the last 6 months.
Yeah, I couldn't even count.
Right.
A lot of days.
A lot of days. Mike was there as well.
A few weeks.
Yeah.
I
So-
just recently went up with Jason, actually helping out with the relief effort. Jason got with a group of guys. They made a plan. The community all came together. It's really awesome experience to go up there and do that. That was unique for me because normally I go in a professional setting, right? So there's all these rules that come along with that, right? Because you are responsible for all of your actions and you can get sued for that. So that's something that goes through first responders' minds when they get there. Coming in as a volunteer, that was really kind of rewarding just to see people's response to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times people do not want to see somebody from the government.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the truth.
Especially in Appalachia.
You know, we're all tacked out and, you know, we look like we're spec ops. And so they
Untrustworthy.
just assume immediately that we're, you know, the bad guys or whatever. When we try to tell them, like, no, we're the good guys. We're here to help.
Well, I would, no joke, I would argue that under the last administration, a lot of those people were the bad guys.
It
Going
can happen.
around, they shut down Doc Pete's friend, the doctor
Mhm.
from Missouri, who's giving free health care. And it went on for about 4 weeks or so at Avery Airport. And they came in and said, yeah, you don't have the permits to do this. Go home. And the follow up to that was, well, what are y'all doing for the people in this community who need medical attention? They did nothing.
Mhm.
They just couldn't have her making them look
I
bad.
think, you know, one thing I need to be, or needs to be said, I feel like I need to kind of play devil's advocate too a little bit, because I mean, anybody who's been in the military knows how the wheels of the military move, right?
Slowly and with a lot of gravel.
It's the same thing that's going on. And you also know too, that whatever the public knows is not what is actually going on.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's the same thing that happens. Now, the thing that people don't understand about that is there are a lot of things the public do not need to know. All right. There could be investigations going on where you're trying to contain a crime scene, for example. You're gathering evidence, you know, and so we don't want chaos. I mean, actually, if you go onto FEMA.gov and you look at it, there is a PIO officer, and they have a team, a public information
Mhm.
officer.
A
and
professional liar.
yes. And their
Professional
whole
spin doctor.
purpose is to make sure that the public does not go crazy, right? And so there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scene that they just, you know, and I'm not saying this that they don't want you to know. It's that they're taking care of things that you're just probably not aware of.
Well, because in a panic, a lot of times more people will die in a panic than will die in a. So that's the one thing you have to understand is not everybody is prepared as everybody else, and the people that are unprepared are going to panic and they're going to probably kill each other trying to get something.
Because humans are smart. People are ignorant, panicky animals that will stampede each other in a heartbeat.
So let's just draw a quick correlation here. You were in Baghdad when it fell. Solder City, Baghdad, one of the two?
Yeah.
Both?
Oh, no, just the Solder City portion. I was not there for the run-up country.
Okay. So what happened when all hell broke loose? As far as people looting, marauders, all that kind of stuff.
Solder City, there was nobody looting. Everybody was just trying to get out of our way. The refugees that were there, they were working really hard to get out of our way, because once the refugees were out of the way, we started doing nothing but laying the hate. And yeah, there was none of that. Now, when Baghdad first fell, it was dead quiet for everybody tells me it was dead quiet for 48 to 72 hours. And then people started putting their heads up and realized, the Americans aren't going through killing everybody. And the police haven't showed up to work. And that's when the looting started.
Okay.
And it got crazy by every account I've ever seen. It got insane. People walking down a road, dragging an air conditioner by the cord. All the fluids run out of this thing, but I got my air conditioner.
So JJ, what's your thoughts on that? Like,
I mean, the same things occur. I was just sitting here thinking about the commonalities or whatever.
Yeah.
So, normally during the first operational period, the first 8 hours, you have the event, right? The clock is now ticking. And so now you have all the byproduct of the event that you have to deal with. There's a lot of scenes there's confusion. It's complete chaos.
fog of war?
And as people are trying to establish perimeters, containment zones, you have all these different agencies that have to unify at the same time. And you can imagine with all of those alphas out there trying to get a unified command, how hard that is at a federal level.
Well, that's why that's why they established the unified command structure.
Right.
To get around that stuff. Now you still have the pissing contests.
But whoever has the most experience in that particular incident or whatever it is, that's the person that's in charge, which is something I love about the NRP.
Yes.
And it also establishes communications, open, clear, concise communication for all the agencies. So now we're not speaking in different languages over the radio, which that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Right. But you have to understand that it is complete chaos. You also have everybody in different stages of grief. Right. This person over here is bargaining. This person over here is, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it is, you can literally stand there and you can see every single stage of it around you. People yelling. You got people coming in from different agencies that are fired up and they've had 6 cappuccinos and they are ready to go. And then you got the people that are upset about being there. They're scared to be there. All of a sudden a lady runs at you and she's got a blue baby in her, wailing. Right. You got kids that have lost their parents. You've got helicopters flying around the wash from all the rotors, people looting on 4-wheelers.
And don't forget the sensationalists.
Oh,
the ones that will show up and tell you all about what happened. And 100% of it is untrue. They know everything about it, what happened, and they'll drop these bombs and then walk away. And you're like, you'll have to be sitting there with this misinformation for the next 24 hours.
Oh my God. Miscommunication.
No, absolutely.
Disinformation.
And you're sitting here going, why would you do that? But there's people that get off on that. And I hate every one of them.
So essentially, like what you're saying is everybody in different stages, everybody's world has crumbled around them. Everything that they know.
Absolutely.
Everything that they have held to, everything that, people that they love. People that were responsible for them. I couldn't even imagine a child losing their parents.
Not to mention their belief systems when they crash.
Yeah.
But the government was supposed to take care of me.
Yeah. No, and that's, so, you're not dealing with a logical person.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at.
So, and Jason, you went in as a volunteer, correct?
Right.
So what about the aftermath of this? So you have that beginning fog of war. And how many days was it after the hurricane that you went in your experience?
I think it was 3.
Okay, so it was
Fresh.
still kind of in that
It
fog
was
of war
crazy.
stuff. Yeah.
Chaos, absolute chaos. And that's something I wanted to mention while you guys were on that topic. I think where this disaster or this event happens is very much dictates the response of the people.
Mhm.
So, like, for example, if this flood that happened in North Carolina happened in Atlanta, I think you would have had a very different response from the people that
Absolutely.
lived there
Yeah.
as opposed to the rural communities of Appalachia. This,
Yeah.
what I witnessed on day 3 when things were still absolute insanity was not people looting and trying to steal and like murder each other. It was so many people there to help. Like,
Incredibly civil too.
oh my gosh, yeah. It was just, there was crazy. Don't get me wrong. It was madness, uncoordinated chaos, people crying, screaming, stuff was going down for sure. But everyone there wanted to help. Like,
Yeah.
it just, that's what I saw. But like I said, if that happened, that same kind of scenario happened in Atlanta or Los Angeles or whatever, you name it, I think we would have experienced something significant.
You're gonna have killers.
Now, in
you're
our
gonna have
video that
all-
came out today,
Mhm.
actually, we were talking about a point that needs to be addressed too, because I want to speak to the people that want to help. All right. Because you have lots of people that want to volunteer.
Mhm.
Right. And in a professional setting, I mean, look at it from the eyes of the logistics officer. Okay. Because we have sign up places where people can sign up to help. And you got to understand that there are all these jobs that need to be done. Right.
Mhm.
And I think the thing that people don't realize sometimes is that, like we were talking about, the ground being unstable, dealing with slides
The sides of mountains just waiting to fall
disappearing,
off.
right? The roads collapsing into sinkholes,
Yeah.
the potential hazmat scenarios that can be there, electrical lines that could potentially be live. There's a lot of things that people haven't been trained on. And so you're walking into a very potential
Also, people witnessing the first time dead bodies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
in children.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
so
a big one for
So
me.
going in an official government capacity, right, whatever it may be, oftentimes you are held back, you're slowed down because of the dangers that exist.
Exactly.
Being a independent volunteer operating on my own free will, I can go anywhere I choose to my own peril, right?
Well,
But at the same
Wrong there.
time, I could potentially be putting myself into a dangerous position where I in turn need rescue from somebody that's
Once again,
like you.
and then
to
you
your
become
peril.
Right.
part of the problem
Instead
rather
of part of
than
the solution.
part of the
Or
solution.
why I'm walking around Eastern Tennessee looking at all the first responders going, oh yeah, we need to scrub this guy down. We need to scrub this guy down. What in God's name did you get into? Because they've all been getting into hazmat and don't know.
See, that's another aspect of it too. So, like, I was a strike team leader. So I would have all of these people on my team that were different disciplines, whatever it is, right? And so I have to take the word of the subject matter expert, and then we have to report to command whatever the potential dangers are, or whatever resources that we need for that scene, etc. And you can imagine, like you were just saying, you have all of these people saying, oh no, this over here is a problem. This over here is a problem.
Please don't put those together.
Right? It feels like, I imagine it's like what a pharmacist has to deal with when all of the contraindications for the medications come in.
I would put it very close to being a high school chemistry teacher is what it's close to.
Just backing
Yeah.
up for a second to Jason's comment. So when Hurricane Harvey hit South Texas, 14 of my friends put a convoy together and went there to go help. And as soon as they crossed the Louisiana state line into Texas, they were stopped by the troopers. And the trooper said to them, if you go past here, we will not come and rescue you, because all hell was breaking loose. So they had fifth wheel trailers full of water and all kinds of other supplies, and they came under fire as they were on the east side of Houston because people wanted what they had. They returned fire, but they were the same as you. They were volunteers.
Mhm.
And again, the authority said, you're on your own.
That's what the gangbangers don't expect.
Right.
When the relief convoy fires back at you.
It's like we brought water. We also brought 308.
Yeah. Well, when we first went in, we had no idea what to expect. I mean, I knew it was going to be crazy and chaotic, but we had no idea if we were going to be experiencing, people at their worst, or just showing up and
Or at
being
their best.
Yeah, or seeing people at their best and being there to help as needed. Luckily, we didn't see, the looting and the slashing of tires and all the theft and the stuff.
You're
like
just
that.
not going to get that in a what you would consider to be a civil society.
Right.
So how close to home does this hit though? Because we're on the state line here essentially with North Carolina and Tennessee. We're in North Georgia
We're less than 100 miles away from
where it all
absolute
happened.
destruction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very close.
Mhm.
Yeah, it definitely could have hit. I mean, how far up is it?
It was coming this way.
It literally had.
It was coming this way, and at the last minute, it just kind of
Just
did a
took over.
little turn, and the same thing would happen here.
Question
So
for you,
how
JJ.
did that happen?
Yeah, we can't talk
We
about that.
can't
Last
talk about
time we
that.
talked about that, we got a strike.
Must be PFM.
Yeah.
Pure freaking magic.
There you go. JJ, during your career, were there any major urban centers that you thought did a really, really good job at responding that would do well if there was a terrorist attack, or were all the major urban centers chaos?
Be careful what I say.
Fair enough.
Put it this way. People are people. They are human all over the United States.
Human nature exists.
I will say this, there are some agencies that I was highly impressed with that do have their stuff together. Okay, and some of those are here in the South. Okay, what I can tell you, I'll give you one. Every time that I worked with North Carolina Emergency Management, those guys were spot on. Like I'll tell you, they trained hard. I was part of the DuPont rescue experience. I was an instructor there for 8 years.
Oh.
And those guys really know what they're doing. I can tell you that. I have been to other places, though, that I'm not going to name that are complete chaos. You know, they have all the FEMA books, right? So they have all their forms, but they haven't trained on it. And so the command, if the command structure itself is messed up, guess what happens on down the line?
That's a top-down problem.
Well, so another question for you. So in Florida, the SOP essentially is that cities take direction from the counties take direction from the state's supposed to take direction from the feds. That doesn't always happen because the feds don't always show up. But in our community in Florida, for example, I actually went through some of their community training. It wasn't anything close to what you guys did. Number one, I was surprised to learn that if winds are at 39 miles per hour sustained, they shut down all the bridges across the intercoastal waterway in Florida. And if you're on the other side and you need help, you will not get help. I was surprised. 39 miles an hour.
That's like a
sustained winds.
Wednesday. Like
so, but the other
normal
thing,
day.
the other thing I was impressed with was, and Mike would know more about this than me, is the repeater system that they have on top of the electric poles that all go back to the sheriff's office. And that's like central command.
I mean, we always had roaming as well. Like when that would happen, we would have the repeaters that we could place them in strategic places where we wanted them.
Refresh my memory. Didn't you say at one point in the past where you responded to an emergency that your phones got preferred access to
all
the
first
network as well?
Yeah. No, they do. And that's, you know, by design, right? They have to give preference to the people that are on scene that are trying to handle the scene. So a lot of times as a first responder, anyway, we would hide our phones.
Right.
You know, because we don't want people seeing us talk on the phone because they will come up and try to grab it from you because they're trying to tell their family that's in Texas or wherever that they're alive. Or maybe they need their life-saving medications, you know, that they don't have access to because their home is gone. The car is gone. All their little stashes that they had are gone. Yeah, I mean,
that's interesting. You know what was super helpful this time around was Starlink.
Yeah.
That was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And we, believe it or not, we gave 2 or 3 Starlinks to the National Guard because they did not have them.
way.
So the National Guard is there. They have no comms. They can't communicate with anyone, and they're reaching out for help. And we're like, well, we got Starlinks. Like other people could probably use them, but the National Guard could probably use them too. So we gave the National Guard Starlinks.
So
why did they not have that?
So if y'all want a good laugh, we were standing maybe 20 yards in that direction 2 years ago. Jason and his wife, myself and my wife.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Christy's like, holy crap.
It's a UFO.
There's UFO. There's a UFO. So we're sitting here with cameras, taking videos and stuff like that. We're convinced we saw a UFO. I sent it to the chat for all the guys at Survival Dispatch like 30 seconds later.
Starlink conduit.
Tyler, Tyler White responded back. Yeah, that's Starlink.
It was such a letdown. It was such a letdown.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is an alien, so maybe it wasn't you.
Technically,
I mean, so it's not a reptile thing.
But he's not an illegal alien, so that's, you know.
We did have the Verizon drones at some scenes too. They would send them up, and that would help with communication
Pop-ups,
as well. Yeah.
Well, once your wind gets up,
Yeah.
you're hosed.
So you mentioned something about, life-saving medication, those key things, because there's a quick timer on that, especially when you come to diabetics, insulin, all that kind of stuff.
Not to mention psychoactive drugs too.
Oh,
You gotta think about
God.
people with,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy-
your crazy Aunt Shelley who's on lithium all the time
Yep.
for a reason.
Yeah, and doesn't get to come off of it in an easy way.
Oh God, there were so many of them.
But so how does that, like, in that fog of war, how do you guys gather information and disseminate it out to the what is a key for that? And this could be something that you understand about your own community. If you're in the prepper lifestyle or anything like that, and you have a community around you, how would you learn lessons on how to get that information out for people that really need it, to agencies that need it?
Honestly, I saw the absolute best methodology, and it's not going to work nationwide, but in the South, it absolutely works wonderfully. You get the information to the local churches, the churches will get it out to everybody else. 100% of the time, they're probably one of the best communication methods out there.
Definitely in the Bible Belt for sure.
Yeah.
I will say I do encourage people, like when I'm on scene or whatever, or when I'm training or teaching, a thumb drive can hold a lot of information. So, think about things like pictures, heirlooms, copies of your insurance, your stuff for your house, your cars, all that vital information, social security card, all the things. You can fit all of that on a little thumb drive. Because when everything's gone, it's gone.
But the flip side of that is, and we saw this in a couple of instances where we met a couple of preppers and we talked to them, and they lost everything. And I would say only 1 out of 5 of these preppers actually had the skills to back all the stuff. So what do we always say on all of our channels? That skills trump gear every single time. And so many of these people, I don't have my gear. Okay. Do you know how to filter water? No. That's what I have a water filter for.
Let's just quickly go down a rabbit hole here as far as taking that to the extreme. Jason, what's in the Wazoo cache kit? And then tell the audience, refresh their memory, because I'm sure we've got a lot of people who didn't see the 3-day challenge you and Dustin did ago with nothing but the Wazoo cache kit.
That was good.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Specifically, we were to talk about water. So there's a 1 liter bag, waterproof bag, food grade, I guess you call it plastic, if there's such thing. And water purification tablets. So I could scoop up nasty, dirty water out here in the creek and kill all the waterborne pathogens. I can't filter out the nasty chemicals and stuff that might be in there from runoff.
But set the context here.
Yeah.
This is a survival kit that fits inside a belt.
Yeah. So the few years back, I flew to Colorado. There it is. I flew to Colorado with my belt, the same one that I'm wearing right now. Right
JJ,
there.
show that again, just so the audience can see it. The entire survival kit is in.
It's literally in my hat in here.
And Jason has it on the belt.
The files are inside.
And
So-
that's a cache belt spelled CACHE, not.
Yeah, so I flew to
The French
Colorado
variant of cash.
with this and my hat and nothing else. That was it. And then I traveled to 10,000 feet, somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 feet, depending on where we were. And I stayed for 3 days in the wintertime in Colorado with just this, obviously in the clothes that I was wearing.
But outdoors.
Out in the mountains, outside.
Just got to open the cache belt a little bit so our audience can
Yeah.
see it. We're not, schlepping this to make money or anything. This is incredible, but it's a great
For
example of what Mike
example,
just raised.
there's a flashlight.
And I'll tell you what, I don't travel. If I'm out away from my truck, I don't travel without mine, man. JJ, you hook me up with that, and man, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
Every time especially if I travel to Seattle.
I mean, there's
It's like an insurance policy.
It's like why wouldn't you?
Right.
And how many times has Dustin flown with that on his person?
He's been through Israeli security.
100, probably
with
more.
that.
Right.
Maybe more than that.
And-
I've flown at least, I would say 10 times with this
Yeah.
and never had a problem.
I have actually been pulled aside twice by TSA.
Well,
for
that's
my
for different
belt.
reasons.
They
Really?
pulled
You
me
look
aside for my
suspicious.
belt because they were like, dude, this is really cool. Where'd you get this?
Oh, yeah.
Each time.
Yeah.
Well, they saw the bomb risk.
Yeah. The dog came by.
Everything I own has explosive residue on it. Just deal with it, okay?
Yeah.
The first thing I always do is call for the TSSE. Just bring them here.
Here I am.
I was probably one of his instructors, so I'm probably getting locked up.
I think the point that you were trying to make, though, because it's the same point that I try to give people or whatever, like, seriously, you need to have a bag that is ready to go with just your basic stuff, including your medications,
Right.
including any forms that you need, doctor stuff, whatever it is,
Absolutely.
because that is what people actually need. The kits that we try to tell people in our videos, like, believe me, that stuff comes from experience. Like, we're trying to help you because I've been to so many scenes where it was literally that. He was just talking about, some prepper that had so much stuff and it's wiped out.
All gone.
All gone. You need that bag that you can literally grab and throw on your back and go.
But look at how few components are in this kit, fits in your hat or fits in your belt, and it proves your point. The more skills you have, the less gear that you actually need.
The more
Yeah,
you
somebody
know,
with
the less
skills
you
can
need.
take that and use
Yeah.
it.
Now, I will tell you, one of these poor guys, they didn't just lose their gear. They lost their house. They lost all the dirt under their house. They literally were down to a 10 by 25 chunk of dirt in their mailbox, and that was all they had left in the world.
Hey, the mailbox made it.
It was out of the street. Oh, and they were still wearing the same clothes they were in the night that the water rushed through, which was basically a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, and it was cold.
Now, so we always talk about mindset, right? In disasters and survival situations, mindset is crucial. Having a positive can-do attitude, no matter what, I think is awesome. Now, with that said, if it was just me and I lived here by myself and my house got washed away, I think I could maintain a positive can-do attitude. If my family had washed away with my home,
Oh, I've seen people.
I'm not so sure I could do that.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I'd be strong enough to do that and still be helpful to my community, but I'm not sure. And I saw enough of that.
Yeah.
And I think that
Same.
this brings up a really, really important segue into those of us who have family. I have 3 small children at home.
Mhm.
By the way, guys, we got news today. I wanted to actually make this announcement. We are adopting Piper on the 19th of
Nice.
May. After
Yeah.
2 years, it'll be 2 years and 10 days since we started
Right on.
fostering her. So God has blessed us with that. We finally have a date. I know you guys always ask about her, and
That's awesome.
she's going to officially be a Wheaton as of May 19th, which is
Cool.
awesome.
Right on.
But
Congrats.
All clap all around.
Sorry for that segue. I just wanted to make that announcement. We're excited, but as parents of small children, Ty has a 4-month-old at home, and that is another thing to take into consideration when we're talking about this stuff. Whether it be a terrorist attack, natural disaster, it doesn't matter. We're out with our families all the time. A terrorist attack could clack off, and we have to be prepared. And I think for you guys, and I kind of already understand this because I've started bringing my 12-year-old in and started asking him questions, getting him ready. But what is a good method for bringing your family into those conversations where, they may not be the easiest conversations to have, but how do we respond to this kind of stuff?
Mm.
So just a quick question for Jason, because it relates to this. How many people and their children went how many miles away on a Friday, spent the night with next to nothing, and walked all the way back here the next day? You brought your kids with you.
Yeah. We had a few families that went and did that. Would we walk 14, 15 miles, something like that? So we
With
did
nothing but the pack.
just a
in your
little
back.
backpack. Yeah, we just kind of a simulated get home deal, just to see the struggles and challenges. We camped out overnight and then walked home from there with super minimal kit. The most valuable item when it comes to kids and movement is snacks.
Yeah.
If you got snacks, kids will move forever. But if you don't
Because
have
you
the
got to
funds-
fuel them fires.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
With the carrot out in front of the
Right. You got
Yes.
the little stick
Yeah.
over their backpack with a, you know,
with the Skittles back.
with a Skittles bag in front of them. Yeah.
That's it, man.
You know, it has changed a lot though. Like from early on in my career, back before, you know, every kid had a phone or some kind of pad, you know, an iPad or something like that. We were actually required to carry toys with us.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
For kids.
If it's a thing.
And then a lot of us would carry cards as well, card games that you
Mhm.
could allow a group or
Yeah.
whatever to play cards. That kind of changed as
Yeah.
time went on.
We carried Jolly Ranchers in Iraq.
And it became, you know, more of an electronic thing
Totally different
at the
reason.
time.
My grandpa told me stories of like the biggest thing that they would give kids, and he was World War II veteran. Fought in Anzio, fought in southern France, same division as Audie Murphy, but he would tell me that it was the chocolate bars that the kids always wanted.
Oh,
I will say this
was like
though,
that.
old.
as a professional, like I need to say this, you don't realize how many people have allergies.
Mhm.
All right, so like peanut allergies. For
Peanut's
example,
peanut may not be the best thing
Right.
to carry.
maybe there
Paydays, it's not.
is not a good one.
For me,
What'd you
good.
say?
For
For
us,
other
good.
people, not good. The payday candy bar, that's my go-to.
Yeah, because if you give a parent an excuse to go off on you, they will.
Oh,
They would.
Yeah.
especially when they're all stressed out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That carrot is just
So y'all be
let loose on
careful
you.
with that.
So going back to the kid question, family question, it's just, I think it's just include them as much as possible in anything and everything. I mean, from the little stuff that seems insignificant to the big stuff like 15-mile walks and stuff like that. It's so much easier to do that stuff without them. Like it's like
Oh yeah.
God,
it's night and day different. It's so easy to go do and practice and prepare and plan stuff without them, but if you don't include them, you're missing out, and you're doing it for them. When it all that's what it all comes back to.
If you don't include them, in my opinion, they're just going to be dead weight. And
Yeah.
that's not. I'm not saying that to be like, oh, you need to get rid of the dead weight. No, you're going to have to carry.
You're going to carry dead
Yeah.
weight.
You're going to carry dead weight, and if they are not up to speed,
Yep.
and they don't understand what's going on, and they have not kind of experienced even just a small taste of it,
Yeah.
you're going to be going to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and they don't
Well,
always
eventually
love
they're
it.
going to be an adult that's dead weight.
Yeah, the kids don't always love it. Like, but I make my kids shoot.
Mhm.
I make my kids work out. Like, and I don't care if they don't, and they're not having fun. Like, that's not what it's for.
It all goes back to good parenting.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. 100%. And I have seen a bunch of bad
Yeah.
parenting out in the field. Typically, the children will feed off of the adults,
Yeah.
whatever their state of mind is or emotional state.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, I mean, you'll see people with 1,000-yard stare
Mhm.
going on, and the kids will literally wander off.
Yeah.
You know.
In a crazy place.
Yeah.
You know, where they don't need to be wandering.
Yeah, I mean, it's chaotic, right? You got news camera stuff. You got the dogs that are going with the teams. Maybe the HRD dogs are there, the attack, the chase dogs, the trailing dogs, the air scent dogs. And they want to go pet the, $30,000 dog or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bear.
We call those malinators. Don't.
Don't play with the fur missile.
Yeah. Any handler though will tell you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So
So speaking of superheroes, just because I know somebody's going to ask, because all the emails end up hitting my inbox, tell our audience about the superhero watch that you're wearing, because I know for a
Every
fact
time.
I'm going to get an
Oh,
email.
God, are
I
we
don't-
gonna do
yes.
this again?
Yeah, you have to do it again.
Did somebody ask specifically in the questions?
I don't
They
know
will.
if they haven't, they
They
will.
will.
They won't
So
out.
tell us the
What's
story
the
behind
deal?
the watch. Where did
I
you buy the
don't
watch?
remember, you can't.
Exactly.
Many years ago, all Spec Ops guys have cool watches or whatever, and I wanted my own, right? So I just made a band, and there's a video called "Watch This" on our playlist. So
Of
if you
course
type
it is.
in "Survival Dispatch," watch this. That video will come up, and it will give you all the specifics of my watch and all the components
Well,
and what you can do.
come on,
with it.
give us the quick rundown on it.
I've got a ferro rod. I've got a Spyderco knife. It's a Luminox.
And a tiny
Watch.
oxygen tank for when you go scuba diving.
Yeah. When I go underwater. Have I shown you the tranquilizer dart?
Sleepy time.
It was designed by Q.
I got this is the
They'll be
Zippo,
back on
basically.
Q Ranch.
A cash stash where I keep money. That's water purification. I've got a Sawento
Gosh,
compass, my emergency whistle. The paracord comes off of the band, and you can retain the band, and the band is also adjustable. So if you want to put it over your jacket in the winter, you can do that. And
So
inside of here,
is the whistle in case like one of these angry people tries to rape you
yeah.
at 6'3", 255?
What does insurance cost a month to wear that watch?
No condom?
I've got my fishing kit and my
The
sewing
end of the
kit
unknown
underneath
brand.
this. It's safe.
He's catching on.
There you go.
And it tells time.
And it's quick release just in case something gets caught up on you.
Just whip somebody with it.
Oh,
And before somebody, there's always a sniper's got to make a snotty comment. You've actually used this for
For
various purposes.
so
for
many years. Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know. The thing is, I tried taking it off one time and everybody got upset with me. So Dustin actually said it wasn't that I was the keeper of the watch was the keeper of me.
Right.
You and the watch are
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
We're
The watch
one,
has its own
so,
personality.
Yeah.
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 So can we move on?
Everybody's worried about Skynet, and they ought to be worried about the watch taking over the world.
So
It also is a thing, though, seriously, out in the field, like anything you can use to grab people's attention,
Oh, yeah.
so they can escape.
That is one bougie watch.
So let's carve the country up into regions: Southeast, Northeast, Midwest, Pacific Northwest, and Southwest. I'd like to hear everybody's opinions on how ready each of those regions are for an SHTF situation. It could be wildfires, could be hurricanes, could be a terrorist attack of multiple different types. But, I've traveled and worked in all lower 48, and I'm biased. I live in Florida, but I have a home here in Georgia. I'm going to say the Southeast is by far the most prepared for the shit hitting the fan.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say individual departments, like, you had mentioned earthquakes, right? Like those teams out there, they train for that,
Mhm.
right? If it's, if they've got mudslides in that region, those teams train for that, right?
Tornadoes heavily in the Midwest.
Well, you
exactly.
could always be prepping for the most likely thing to happen.
Scenario.
But I'm talking
Southeast,
an overall state of readiness. I feel that the Southeast here, we're in better condition than a lot of other states are.
I would
Or
say,
regions.
yeah, but there are, some very professional departments out there, like
No
the
question.
Alpine Rescue Group, for example. I trained with them a lot. Those guys are on top of things.
and there's some garbage departments out there too.
But I'm talking like at the macro level. We look at the 5 regions across the country.
You have specialty teams that are badass all over.
No
the place.
question.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
no, John, how would you rate the Midwest?
I think so. As much as I love to rag on Illinois, I do feel like a lot of our emergency management in the southern tip of the state is good. We seem to recover really well, but we have some really good local mayors and regional people that do a really good job. The states around us are pretty good, like Missouri. Kentucky actually has really good emergency management stuff too. But ours is obviously different. We get a lot of tornadoes. We get a lot of that kind of stuff, and then we're right on the New Madrid Fault too. So there's always the earthquake equation. I was born basically a month after one of the worst tornadoes ever went through Southern Illinois. Killed 11 people in Marion. It was an F4 tornado. 1982 ran through there. And every time there's a tornado, it always comes back to mind. In fact, after the last bad tornado, Mike calls me the next day. You guys okay? So we get that a lot. But I do think that this emergency management, while the leadership matters, a lot of those individualized teams, they do such a good job of training and doing the best of what they have that sometimes they outshine their leadership.
I mean, that is all we do.
That is an epidemic problem across the emergency.
Because the management, the people, the leadership is always going to play the political game.
And
they're not interested in getting in there and actually helping. They want the PR campaign. They want
they're
how's
not
this going
leading.
to affect my poll numbers?
That sounds like the wildfires in Los Angeles.
I cannot stress that enough. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot going on, right? In the command trailer, if you will.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Don't forget the fist fights.
The thing is, like, there is a divide between command and people in the field. And so it's really up to the people that are the liaison from those two to do a good job, which is a very, very difficult job.
Middle management carries it.
Yeah.
You get two middle managers that go, you know what, let's forget what they're doing up there in the talk. By the time they finish their argument, we're going to be done.
Right.
Let's go do
I
it.
mean, those guys have a lot to deal with, is what I'm getting at. And they are getting misinformation and disinformation all the time. And so they have to sort through that and then give out the task to the individual teams that are going in the field.
Well, listen, the fish rots from the head down. Mike, you spent a lot of time in California, in the LA area. I mean, I think their response to the wildfires was downright criminal.
So
this latest round.
out in the Western U.S., you have a split. If you go all the way, you got the coastal region. Everything west of the mountains is just a humongous problem out there. It's an issue. They're pushing politics more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You go east of the mountains, like all the way into Nevada and Utah and everything like that. Man, they're great. The emergency services are great. But man, once you get over into that coastal strip, all the way from the Canadian to the Mexican border, it is
highly political.
It is a nightmare to deal with those people. That's why we never did exercises out on the West Coast.
Well, and that's, what I was talking about is it's indicative of the military too. You've been in the military, E5 through E8. That's what actually makes the military work.
Yeah, and that's the sergeants.
Yeah, and that's the sergeants. Yep,
So,
it's
for the audience.
And once you get some E9s, but that's more in the command structure.
They'll handle logistics.
Yeah, but
It's your job. It's your job to rough handle the colonels.
Yeah.
Go do that.
So I want to bring up one large city as an example, and I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts. So we had Will Jimeno on Survival Dispatch News not too long ago. He's one of only 2 survivors that was rescued from World Trade Centers after they collapsed. So it was a 5-man squad. So he was a port area law enforcement officer. So they've got 9 things that they look after, including the World Trade Center. And they just passed through the causeway that joined the 2 buildings when they came down. And one of his guys was killed instantly. His sergeant was a little further than arm's reach away, was the other guy who got rescued, and 2 other guys were not that much further away, and they died during that 18-hour period it took to dig them out. So we're going to do a deep dive on 911 or 9/11, pardon me, here soon, because there's a lot of fishy stuff that doesn't add up. But I would give tremendous kudos to the emergency responders in New York for an emergency of that scale. My thoughts are, I don't know that there's many large cities that could react the way that they
I will tell you this. All right. So you just hit something that's really big, right? So we train in our areas for certain things. And then there's always the X factor. I talk about that all the time because, you get something that large that happens. It changes the SOP for the entire country and how they train.
Yeah.
So what I look at with an agency like that is how well did they do with the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they get enough credit sometimes, or agencies don't get enough credit. Imagine if you had to be in charge of that. There is no playbook for it. And believe me, there are a lot of playbooks out there for different scenarios. If the FBI is involved, like say a missing child, for example, there's a book this thick and that clock is ticking, but they didn't have an SOP for that. So their response, like, you need to cut them some slack for what they had to go through. And believe me, when somebody in an armchair is sorting all of that out later, it's real easy for them to say, why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
Well, you weren't there, right? Sometimes we have to make split-second decisions.
And everything's in tunnel vision. Everything's foggy. You don't know what is going on.
Oh, and I'm going to throw a handful of concrete dust into your eyes and now make your decisions.
Yeah. And I've seen that happen in different places, with different emergencies, whatever the government.
Yeah. And this is kind of also indicative of how the military rolls out SOPs. Like we've changed, like global war on terrorism, GWAT changed SOPs drastically. We didn't even have like standard operating procedures for putting tourniquets on wounds before GWAT actually kicked off. We didn't do that because it was considered like you were just going to lose the arm if you put it.
It was taboo.
It was
It was
completely
tabbed.
changed.
Yeah.
So SOPs are always behind what's going on in the real world. That's why you have to be ready for that unknown.
Yeah.
How many times has Mike said we're always fighting the last war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
And now we're going back to more of a conventional feel to our warfare.
Let's
because
go.
we're seeing,
Large scale
we're
combat
seeing
operations.
a change in that. So, because really the GWAT operation standards is kind of going away. And so, anyways,
Good.
So we've only got a few minutes to wrap up here. I want everybody to weigh in on one question. We'll start with Jason and go tie around this way. So we've had intelligence for many, many years saying that Al-Qaeda in particular, ISIS, and some other terrorist groups want to do what's called a swarm attack. So they attack multiple locations at the same time across counties, across states, and across the entire country. Okay. So imagine that you had like a small scale here. Let's say this county had 100,000 people in it. So we don't have enough first responders in this county to respond to multiple emergencies, right? Even with mutual aid calling in other areas. So the bad guys, let's say they hit half a dozen targets. They know that they're going to lose one of them, one of their terror cells, because the first responders will get the one probably and win. But then the next day they go over to the next county and they hit a half a dozen more. And then they go to the next county after that. So the way that this has been war gamed out basically says that after the first day, nobody sends their kids to school,
Right.
and nobody goes to work. And by the third day, there's no food left on the shelf. It may even happen by the second day because grocery stores have 3 days worth of food. Everything's GIT just in time. So $64,000 question. Yes, I just dated myself there. What is your assessment? And we'll go around the table on how ready we would be for that type of scenario, a swarm attack that happened across the country simultaneously for 3 days. Last piece of information, the people that I've spoke to at a high level have said that the bad guys would not launch cyber attacks during that first 3 days because they want everybody to know what they've done and to instill the fear. But then after the third day, they're turning off the power grid, they're turning off the internet, and things just devolve that much further. So how well prepared is America, and let's say here in Georgia, for that type of scenario?
I think we're probably pretty good at handling localized regional disasters. I don't think we'd be very well equipped for nationwide disasters. When it's local and it's regional, people from all over the place that are still eating good, doing fine, kids are still going to school, life's happy, they can flood that area with supplies and resources and help and everything. But if that's happening in their neighborhood too, they're not coming to help.
Mhm.
They're worried about their families. So I think it'd be pretty ugly.
I think so too. Todd?
I'm pretty sure if the internet got shut off, my generation would be crippled alone with just the internet. So that would really, throw a wrench in the
Wouldn't even know
cogs.
how to get to
Yeah,
places.
wouldn't even know how to get to
Couldn't
the next-
navigate.
Yeah. So being prepared for pretty much anything base level, like even a bug out bag, most people aren't prepared for that, let alone multiple attacks everywhere, like all at once. That would be, most people don't have a pack of water in their house.
Mhm.
So it'd be pretty rough 3 days.
Well, look, people beat the crap out of each other for a TV on Black Friday. What are they going to do when
Right.
their family hasn't eaten?
Mm.
You're never more than 3 missed meals away from anarchy, essentially.
I've seen this
No,
happen
Jim.
all over the states. That's exactly what you're talking about. The stuff you don't see on the news.
Yeah.
It happens.
So how well prepared are we in your mind?
You better pray it don't happen.
And that's from a pro.
And get prepared.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. The
Yeah.
more that we
Prepared as
can
you can
keep
be.
the machine going, the better. That is something, I think it's kind of like a fantasy thing. People want to see the collapse. You better hope and you better pray to God it doesn't
Yep.
collapse.
Yep.
Yeah, too much Netflix.
That yes, because Hollywood has dramatized this to think that it's not, like, they've dramatized everything from warfare to chaos to, you've got the movies like, Ultra Storm or whatever it was called, and then The Day After Tomorrow and Armageddon and all this stuff.
Sharknado.
Yes, well, that one too.
Well, that's a classic.
Yeah.
That would be a bad 3 days.
I would say they've gone beyond dramatization to romanticize.
Yes,
some of
and
the
that's
stuff.
exactly where it's. So
Yeah.
people have this false sense of, I could survive that. No, you couldn't. Like in those kind of situations, you're going to see large percentages of the population die. And that's people around you, the neighbors that you know that aren't prepared. They may come to your door trying to kill you because they know you have guns. They know you're a prepper. Maybe they've seen you loading in food. Their family's starving. People will do horrible things to each other. Human nature is always there.
I actually had a neighbor that bought a saddle for our horse at one point.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Planning ahead.
Yeah. So I'm sure he had some canned goods in his basement
But
ready for the day.
Wow.
But-
yeah,
yeah.
that's a stretch.
But I'm with JJ. You guys don't nobody wants the reality of that. And yes, should we prepare for it? Absolutely. Should we pray to the Almighty God that it never happens? Absolutely.
And this is coming from military veterans who've seen crazy stuff. So it can happen there, it can happen here. Like JJ said, humanity's humanity, right?
Yeah, well, and one of the biggest shock moments for me was in mid-April of 2020, when I walked into a Walmart and the shelves were bare for the first time in my life. I had never witnessed that in my own country, and it was like,
Not just
Oh
the
my
grocery
goodness.
store either, like all the big,
Yep.
at the gas stations, all of
Yeah.
it. It's, people have raided churches
Yeah.
for,
well, imagine this. Like you mentioned gas stations. Guess what? That stuff comes from other places. That stuff's coming. Your car's not running. You're not going anywhere. You're on foot. It's a big deal. And ironically, I will say the only thing left on the shelves was vegan food.
I mean, I've seen it all
Fake
time.
meat.
You can have your tofu.
Yeah. I'd rather starve.
Mike,
I'm with these guys. That is one thing that you do not want to see. I mean, I saw an inkling of this in East Africa, and it was ridiculous. People are animals, and man, they will do that. Thin veneer of society peels off real quick, and they will do anything
Yeah,
to
religion,
stay
politics,
alive.
all that stuff goes out the window.
All goes out the way. They turn into complete savages in just a few days. And yeah, now can you, it comes down to the question of, can you save your entire community? No. But what you can do is you can save yourself in a small cell of like your neighbors. If you look at the lessons that Selko, and I'm always throwing out the Selko lessons from Sarajevo. He said the people that got organized into groups first were the ones that made it through. Period. And that's when, I mean, you've got an entire city under siege. The place is taking artillery all day, every day, just different parts of the city. And it's getting down to the point where, what are we going to eat?
Yeah.
Jason, you're looking kind of stringy there, but I'm sure if we boil you long enough,
Salt.
yeah.
Not to salt.
Well, we don't have salt.
Hot sauce.
Yeah.
Hot
We don't have hot sauce
sauce.
because the hot sauce disappeared a week ago.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is something that you do not want. Are we prepared at a national level? Absolutely not. Are we prepared at a state level? Absolutely not. Can we be prepared at the local community level? To a limited extent, yes.
One thing, and just to add on to Jason's point about localization, we talk about 9/11 like it was a national attack. That was a local attack, by the way. That's why all of the resources could pour into that.
Yeah.
So
And
we have never actually seen something like what is being described here. Not like that.
There are training exercises
that
have revolved around this. God, you better hope it don't happen.
The 6 city concept.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Well, yeah, that's
We shouldn't get into this.
no.
Let's please not discuss that.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fair
you,
enough.
Will
Fair. Well, I think we're running up on, we're right at the hour mark right now. So that's it, man. We had a great day today.
Yeah.
John?
You mind if I close this in prayer?
No, 100%.
All right. You know the drill, guys. Heavenly Father, I thank you for just good people, good men, and just the ability to have some fun with people that we've never met in person until today. I just thank you for that time. But I also Thank you for this community. And I pray, Lord, that we continue to be prepared for the unknown, that we continue to fill our minds with the right information, not get drugged into the misinformation, disinformation, but to know what is true and give us that discernment. I pray that you keep us safe, that you continue to guide us, and you continue to protect us, our families, and communities. To your name be the glory, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And God sent us RTS Tactical body panels.
Yep. And on the 8th day, God created RTS Tactical plates.
Just saying.
We should give a shout out to Primary Arms.
Yes.
Go ahead, guys.
Primary Arms, right?
Let us do the shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can't hit what you can't see, right? So Primary Arms allowed us to be able to do things like this.
Oh, what a shot.
That was a
You
pretty
know?
shot.
I gotta give a shout out to them because I run Primary Arms, and then they decided to step up, and now we all have do Primary Arms optics on our weapons. So
And hey, that Paraclete plate, it stood up to some serious hits too. So
for level 3 armor,
yeah,
that's
I'm still wondering
Yeah.
if they didn't put that label on there as a joke.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to figure out
I don't know.
It's like,
because that's not level 3.
I know.
Yeah. No, not to stand up to 308, 65 Creedmoor. Now, you can't stop. Well, apparently you can't stop 338.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a whole series of videos coming up with all the different primary arms optics on all kinds of different guns. Tomorrow night's roundtable actually is going to be on home defense and planning for home defense, and it'll kind of lead into the conversation of
We get to do this again?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, we get to do this
Yeah,
again?
be
All
there,
right.
be square. Bring the watch.
Okay. It'll be
We're talking
here.
about more.
It will bring me.
We'll have a chair for the watch, but not you.
Yeah, so tomorrow night we're going to talk home defense, and we'll get into the topics of optics and suppressors and all the things that go with it. And we're actually
We're
going
going to shoot out of the barn.
we are going to shoot indoors tomorrow with decibel meters and talk all kinds of crazy stuff.
Exciting things
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of exciting things. But other than that,
And we love you.
Yep. From us to you.
God bless America.
oh, come on, stop stealing my line.
I still it on Tuesday and Sunday.
We'll be back tomorrow night, usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Between now and then, please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America. Enjoy the closing video.
President Trump kicking off another busy week at the White House.
It has been yet another eventful week in Washington.
The activity level is off the charts. The president dialed in. He is executing his agenda at a lightning fast pace. Now, here's something we rarely see in American politics. President Trump is actually keeping his campaign promises, and he's doing them as quickly as possible.
This administration's moving at political light speed, and they're just getting started.
We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do what I'm doing. Goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. Have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Official, former President Donald Trump will be running for president again in 2024.
Donald Trump got the stamina and the will to do this again? He's come under such tremendous...
Everything is on the line in this election.
A busy day in the campaign world up in Butler today. Former President Trump holding a rally at 5 o'clock.
They just tried to kill President Trump.
Not even an assassin's bullet could stop him.
It feels like the climax of a superhero movie. The first act, up 2016. The second act, 2020. The third act, he almost dies. And then what happens?
Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
Rare in American politics, a presidential sequel.
He believes he has a, quote, mandate to bring common sense back to the country.
It's our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest era. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth.
He has the opportunity to reset everything around the world.
Under President Trump's leadership, the message to America's enemies is loud and clear.
Peace through strength is back.
No amount of hysteria, no amount of fear-mongering is going to shake the president's resolve.
This is the wholesale destruction of the liberal state. He is gutting liberal Washington, D.C. in a way that they say could be permanent.
47 means business. The White House is holding all the cards.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success.
The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's coming and not try to deliver, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before.